the doors of your hearts, that the Christ may come in and sup with you. I am come this day, mindful of the events not only of this year and this epoch, but of ages gone by, that are clearly vivified and revivified in my consciousness. Eras in time where the mind of God was striving so beautifully with ages of men, and where the echoing and re-echoing response was also establishing a cosmic spiritual bond that current humanity en masse are so unaware of. I have seen the heart as it was formed. I have seen the sustaining elements of the heart. I know the grace and painstaking care with which God formed it. And yet, of old it was written, the heart is deceitfully wicked. What subtle or stringent change occurred that has destroyed the beauty of the chalice of the heart? What error has been introduced into the consciousness of mankind that a distraught humanity can so malign the God intent? I have stood and gazed upon the teeming throngs as they came to do homage to my Son, as they sought to establish him as king in Israel. But only the few in every age have sought to establish him as the king in their lives. To rule, to reign with him, to have him reign within them, is to permit the grace of God to expand like a flower, like a mighty tree of life, into the world domain, until the life of the individual is no longer enclosed and cloistered, but resembles the life and the consciousness of he whom I bore. Expansive and expanding, radiating and emitting his light, until thousands of years have passed, and the glow from his heart is still sustaining a momentum, relative though it be, of what is known as Christianity. Little do men understand the perfect order of the ages that breathed out through the ritual drama of his life the tender and gracious emission of God's grace exuded to a world waiting for Messiahs, for a stopping of pain, for the opening of the doors of the temple, for the realization and fuller meaning of the sun and of light from and to the ages. And now somewhere in the great river of time, Men are still mending and fixing their nets, still casting them out and seeking to draw in the fish as fishermen of old. And my son said, I will make you fishers of men. And the call goes forth into the world today, vital, vibrant, and compelling. I will make you fishers of men. Why are men equated with fish? Because they move in an unstable, watery element, an emotional world where the self seems to be all. In reality, the goal of life is for the self to become all. But humanity would compel all to become the self and to pay homage to it. And because there is a reversal of the central theme of life, a failure to surrender, as my son did, humanity suffer. And the suffering is great and destined to become greater unless events shall direct it otherwise. I come then today to bring forth the radiation of the ladies of heaven for and on behalf of the mankind of earth. To bring forth the subtle, the joyous, sometimes poignant release of our energy. Because our energy is qualified with the feminine aspects of God, saturated with the love of the mother of the world. It represents a culture that seeks to guide the children of humanity away from the roughshod paths they have elected, and to direct them away from the awful karmic recompenses now gathering in the wings of life that threaten to purge the world of many and create enormous waves of pain and chaos without ever producing the fruit of one virtuous sowing. And so I come. And I would gather, as my son would long ago have gathered Jerusalem, the children of the world, those who have an understanding of his grace, into the heart of my longing, into the heart of nature's repose, where gentleness and sustaining love can be the recognition of every man and woman. For in the recognizing of our love and the understanding of the words of my son, the meek shall inherit the earth, we will once again build the sacred heart. We will once again unite the many divided souls in the world into one body of beauty seekers. Those who seek the beautiful life, those who seek the chalice of opportunity, those who understand that the richness of the kingdom of heaven is a Gentile, fragile gift. Yet the armies of the world, even as those who came out against my son, come out with spears and swords. They come out with weapons of destruction. Why? Because their hearts do not respond to the vibrations of reality, but to the fraud that has given them birth. For they are, as my son long ago said, children of evil. Children whose hearts do not understand or respond to the ministrations of love. but to the harsh language of the world that might makes right. Now let us understand together that the power of our love is greater by far than all the armies of the world. We have but to speak a word, and nature will obey. We have but to speak a word, and civilization could perish in an instant. But ours is not to destroy life, but to cherish it. Ours is not to make wounds, but to bind up wounds. Ours is not to slay, but to pray for and to guide humanity. We would ease the pain of the world and bless and heal and caress, and if possible, steel your hearts for God. Steel your hearts so completely for God that you could never again find them, for they would be utterly fled away into the heart of His presence. Will you then, on what could almost be called the eve of your forthcoming conference, understand that the overshadowing love of the angels of my band shall camp themselves round about you here throughout your conference and provide the impetus of the hope of the Mother of the Word as a chalice of the ages, as a chalice to cherish, as a chalice cornucopia of God's abundant love, that the love of my Son may find rebirth in your hearts, and then as a glowing coal of cosmic opportunity, pour out into the world domain and to all who come here, that Saint Germain, the protector of freedom, may indeed, in the words of that song of old, yet not so old, Mother, teach thy children, instruct in righteousness and joy, instruct in peace and cosmic industry, that the looms of the Spirit may weave beautiful pictures of that joyous world of God perfection that He desires to manifest in all, the kingdom of heaven, the age-old dream. Come anew then to life, light, and love in your hearts, as we deny the power of the harshness of this age and affirm once again for all time the indomitable spirit of the mothers of the world and the knights of the world to establish cosmic valor, a place like Camelot of old, yet unlike it, where the perfection of the Son of God may breathe free and radiate in the hearts of all men. I thank you. Our Lord spake unto me, command the fire, and it was done. And there was given unto me the scepter over fire, and over the elemental forces that govern fire. The responsibility is great. The opportunity is magnificent. I am come then this day to tell you a few things that once you understand them may make you the ruler over many things. I would tell you about obedience to his laws. For the laws governing cosmos and the laws governing the elementals are one, even as the laws governing cosmos and the laws governing humanity are one. Throughout the world today, humanity are having what they have termed a vast revival of witchcraft. Many of these ceremonies are attempts to subjugate some of the mighty fire elementals under my command unto the dominion of the individual who is practicing the black magic formulae and attempting to influence life and control life by these formulae. I say to you then, out of the midst of the great fiery element, that the fire elementals are the most dangerous elementals for humanity to ever tamper with. And those who are engaged in the nefarious business of subverting and bringing under control the fire elementals will certainly rule the day. If any of these elementals should actually be brought under their dominion and then turn upon them. For they are most powerful of all the elementals in nature and imbued with the capacity of extreme good. Wherever the pendulum swings so far to the right, to the extreme good, it is also possible for it to swing far to the left and produce then conditions unwanted by humanity, but invoked by those who practice black magic and witchcraft without understanding the awful penalties that are involved. Some of you may wonder why, with all of the power that we have, why we permit it. Beloved ones, when dealing with humanity, it should always be borne in mind that freedom of will was given by God to man in order that man might become one with God, consciously identifying with the presence and with the constructive manifestations in life. Will you understand then that through the misuse of free will, humanity have engaged in these practices which are spreading abroad in the world so much deceit and destruction? Almost 85% of the crimes against persons which are being practiced today in the world are the result of witchcraft and black magic. What is happening is that these denizens of humanity are contacting elemental sides of life through their rituals and pulling forth the energy of the elementals into these nefarious rituals, and thus opening up the dens of darkness, the Pandora's boxes, where are held the winged and destructive creatures from astral levels of the far distant past, when civilizations were destroyed because of humanity's inhumanity to one another. The bringing forth of these harbingers of destruction in the world then is the result of many a beardless youth and many a lady who is engaged in this practice because they know not what they do. They suppose that it is a bit of harmless fun, and they study these teachings based on witchcraft entirely because they have the desire to satisfy their curiosity. As a result of this activity in the world today, many horrible tortures and manifestations based on the misuse of the creative life force are also being produced. For all of these are linked together into one common thraldom which pulls the individuals down. But not only does it pull the individuals engaged in these practices down, but it also spreads abroad in the world darkness and the sins of passion which are so easily engaged in because the very nature of fire is such that it actually infuses the emotional body with a very intense focus of energy which is very difficult to govern when the individuals have once started to yield to it. Will you recognize then the constructive side of life in heaven's name? Will you recognize what the four elementals are designed to do? Will you recognize, for example, what fire is intended to do? Fire, precious ones, is intended to consume upon the altar of identity all of the darkness and discordant manifestations which individuals have ever engaged in. Fire is intended to be a divine manifestation that will release sufficient, proper emotion of divine love into the chalice of the individual's world that he can actually build his deathless solar body out of the solar fires of the sun, the very substance from whence was woven the solar body of the Lord Christ and of every other individual who has ever made their ascension and won their victory. For the great winged solar disk of the ancient Egyptians is also symbolical of the power of fire governed to lift the consciousness out of the socket of mortal density and into the higher patterns of God realization. Fire is intended to open up the great passageways of the mind so that the mind can no longer be limited by the finite capacities men have attached to themselves, but can reach out into the universe to identify in perfect oneness with the mind of God. Thus fire and light and sound blend together in a musical rendering of perfect harmony in the life pattern of the individual. All darkness then can be put to flight by cosmic fire, and cosmic fire can purify the world of all humanity, consume the dregs of wrong thought and feelings, consume all the passions of sin and darkness, all horror and fear and doubt, and replace it all by the great alchemy of the sacred fire. How we would love then today to have you see into the invisible world and gaze upon the great fire elementals as they are functioning to forge links in the cosmic chain between humanity who seek to be raised up and the great higher beings of light who are standing ready to raise them. We are so concerned with the feelings in men's worlds today, the great hungers in their heart for light and understanding about the four elements, that we have come to you today in order to infuse you with some of our sacred fire element that will help you to understand that the nature of fire is creative and constructive. We are not concerned with darkness. We are not concerned with the spread of inharmony and attempted control over the lives of others, but rather to teach humanity how to have control over their own world, over their own thoughts, over their own feelings. When you call unto me then, and with full faith, Recognize that I can release a stream of cosmic fire into your world. Determine that that fire will be used constructively for the good of humanity, to spread abroad the beauty of God's laws, His light, and His love, and where necessary, to literally annihilate through the power of transmutation wrong ideas and concepts in your world or the worlds of others. Be not brought under the power then of deceit, of darkness, of world pain, of confusion, of all the numbing reactions in the world today that come forth as a result of man's tapping in and rupturing the veil that separates horror and discord from the world of beauty that God hath made. For the world of horror and discord is the lower astral realm, where the winged denizens of the deep spread abroad their fearsome visages with the idea of actually causing the heart of man to quail. We are concerned that you should know that these conditions have no power. They are not real. They are only the pseudo-creation of the mind of man, endowed with his temporal energy, and they have a decay rate which will bring them ultimately to a state of utter destruction, and the investment of energy that the black magicians and witches have made into these conditions will all be lost. It will totally perish, and they will then be called to account to pay for their misuse of God's energy and God's love. Will you understand then with me that the sacred fire, when it is invoked, has the power to bring freedom to humanity? I would have you understand it. I would have you understand that you need not quail before these negative manifestations or have any fear of them, for the perfect love of the sacred fire will cast out of your mind unwanted conditions and assist you mightily to your victory. I am Arameses of the sacred fire. I am Arameses, prince of the fiery element. By God's grace, I come to you today, and I come to you today to purify every aspect of being. A great deal of your being is unknown to you. You know the hairs of your head, for you comb them each day, but you know not their number. You know the outer physical form, and through familiarity have identified with it. You know the mind that you have used, and also its states of limitations and expansionism. You know your emotions, how your emotions can run the gamut from the lowest type of emotions, as some of you have said, almost down into the sewers of consciousness, or up to the sublime levels of reaching toward angelic and cosmic heights. You know all of these aspects of being in part, but do you know the great aura of light that surrounds your mighty I Am presence? Do you know the aura of light that surrounds your Holy Christ self? Do you know the content of the mind of the Holy Christ self? I tell you honestly this day that what you know is a very small portion of those great and magnificent cosmic laws that are held within the electronic fabric of your higher mind and its God designs. Do you understand then why this is so? Precious ones, it is because of the limitations you have imposed upon yourselves. It is because you have looked to outer sources and outer conditions for your freedom and have not actually looked within, to the God within. You have not actually looked up to the power of your Holy Christ self and to the ascended Master's octaves many times when you should. You have continually looked upon the same type of outer manifestation, a display of outer intelligence and wisdom of the world that humanity looks to, and that in all these years has not given humanity their freedom. For today, in these latter ages, humanity is bound more than ever now, and because of the influx of the children of darkness from the ages of Atlantis, and because of the accentuation upon dangerous drugs and upon the wrong aspects of sex energy, humanity find themselves at the crossroads where they fear and tremble as to what each day will bring forth. And truly wickedness has increased throughout the earth, and man has turned the imaginations of his heart ever and anon, each day, toward a worse vagary of human consciousness and a greater level of destructivity, magnifying the powers of darkness and paying no heed to the beautiful powers of the sacred fire as it seeks to release to the child mind of humanity the wondrous power of freedom that can give man the freedom to at last break his chains and use his God-given creative energy for the emancipation of the whole wide world. Then will the fire element come forth to do the bidding of man. Today, you see as you gaze upon the filaments of your electric light bulbs how the precious fire element brings forth light into your home. It also toasts your food and cooks your food, heats your homes, and in some cases drives your vehicles. You should understand then that it is the sacred fire, the imprisoned lightning of God within the heart of every atom, within the heart of every electron, that provides the motivating power to drive all of life forward. Yet humanity, while they've gazed upon the wonders of nature, have not actually understood the power of that divine nature that is also composed of the sacred fire, that is the warp and woof of their internal reality of God creation. Will you then understand with me this day that the time has come when the sacred fire must be understood? For does not the sacred fire also provide the vacuum tubes in your radios and the transistors with enough of the sacred fire element to actually bridge the gap between one point upon earth and another? The sacred fire does so much for humanity that little do men realize all that it will do and can do. For the lasers of the world are promising to the scientists of the world great things to come. Yet all of this is but an outer vanguard that in no way has given humanity a release from the inner tensions and turmoils of their hearts, states of unhappiness and fear, states of confusion and dreariness. We are concerned then with dispelling all of these illusions and bringing into the consciousness of humanity a vital and magnificent God force as the sacred fire is harnessed by the students of the light for their own freedom and the freedom of all humanity. Will you accept with me then the full measure of understanding concerning the misuse of the sacred fire by humanity and the awful karmic avalanche that will ultimately come forth to humanity and to the individuals misusing the law? Will you also understand that conversely, as men turn to the great fires of the cosmic sun within themselves and yearn to bring forth the cosmic power of fulfillment according to their God design, then the ascended Master's laws will release their great secrets in the control of nature, which Saint Germain and other great adepts of the past have been fully cognizant of. And when this comes about, I wish to assure you that you as individuals, through your knowledge of the laws of the sacred fire, will have that dominant power whereby you can assert your effective God control over your lives and thus come to know the real meaning of freedom. May I for a moment intensify the fire in your midst that you may feel the actual radiation of the fire of God and let it pass through your physical forms and through your minds. May I intensify it so that I may remove some of the dross from your consciousness and cut you free from that and give you a feeling of lightness and buoyancy in your feeling world so that you can actually enter into the communion of the sacred fire in nature itself and thus feel the cutting edge of the sword of the sacred fire as it sunders from your being all that is not of the pure Christ, of the solar radiance of the divine plan fulfilled in every man. For then you will be able to walk in the fiery furnace, pass through the fiery trials, and perchance as you grow in grace, be able to beckon with your little finger to a great fire elemental and have him do your bidding, because what you will have him do will be to produce harmony in yourselves and in others and spread abroad the laws of cosmic love that will make of the world a complete harmonious whole in the diadem of the solar system, a radiant fire ring experience whereby light is ever eddying out into the universe and fulfilling the command that long ago issued forth into the world, saying, "Let us create light." And light, beloved ones, is itself the progenitor of fire. And fire is a part of the light envelope of God's cosmic power, going forth through the mighty light rays of his presence and hallowing space, because space is also the body of God. And into that space pours the fire element to create, to transmute, and to amalgamate all into one whole pattern of cosmic love energy, world without end. And now may I shed my blessing upon you, the blessing of the fire element that seeks to continue to serve your needs and the needs of the All-Father. To him ever be all glory, as the fire rings flash forth their messages of communion to the whole cosmos. I thank you. The meek shall inherit the earth. Through the orifice of self pours the most exquisite reality. Here in the mountains of India, here in Darjeeling, where the will of God is most splendidly known, do we seek to radiate everywhere in the world domain the comforting aspects of cosmic reality. Gone now, at this supreme moment in time, are the desires of the Darjeeling Council to amplify, even for instructive purposes, elements of negativity. And therefore, it is our desire to turn men from darkness unto light, for they have had enough of the night. They have seen enough of the products of the night, spawned in darkness, and they are now gazing upward toward the splendor of the mountaintops, heralding the approach of the golden dawn of cosmic reality. The highlighting gleams of the forthcoming new age already are beginning to manifest the vitalizing elements within the force field of cosmically endowed humanity, so that they can have the elements of a new heaven and a new earth already taking form within their mind and consciousness. For consciousness, when it is oriented around God, is like a glowing golden fiery sun. Holy illumination breathes out a sacred prayer, and Buddha and Christ are there manifesting in the sunlit air the elements of peace and cosmic instruction, of brotherhood, and of a turning toward the rainbow radiance of the pure white light. All delusion must perish in the splendor of this sun, for there is a trembling down the dulcet bars of heavenly creation. The tonal values of the universe are now shaking the very substance of the earth, and we are determined, where necessary, to unseat out of the realm of mortal pleasure those who have had no other outlook upon life whatsoever than mere earthly enjoyment and its attendant pains. We come then to create a new heaven and a new earth in consciousness that will gaze upward toward the light and search out the magnificent cosmic civilization already created from the whole cloth in the mind of God, and convey this beautiful painting, this exquisite tapestry, into the consciousness. And as we do it, I think also that the individual will say, I bid you welcome. Traveler, come to our abode. Traveler, enter our humble home. Traveler, unfurl the banner. For we are speaking now not only of the domain of reality for the individual, but the domain of reality for the earth. The culture of the Spirit is with men. Christ proclaimed it from the hilltops and from the sea in the boat. Buddha proclaimed it under the bow tree. St. Francis proclaimed it to the birds of the air. And everywhere the imagination of men has been set afire by the illuminating fragrances of the spiritual living Word, the fountain of the Parliament of Almighty God conveyed to the Parliament of man. We have sought universal good. We have sought to create new fragrances of the Spirit. We have sought to stifle the odors of the past and lift up only the best gifts. We have continually released unto humanity our guidance. We have overlooked them as from a craggy nest, and we have always sought within our soul to raise them thence. We have gone no place, tread upon no holy ground, that we have not also desired to share with the hallowed circle of humanity. We have lit no cosmic fires, nor basked in no spiritual radiance that we have not desired to share. We have gazed upon no inspiration by the writing of the hand of God that we would not have carried as a messenger from Garcia to all humanity. We are available, but so is the soul. The presence of the ascended masters is an adjunct to the natural radiation of the cosmic glow ray of the infinite fires within yourselves. You then should understand that do you love Moria? Then love the God within. Love His holy will. For in this common bond, we are knit together, and we cannot be separated so long as the bond be adhered to. The will of God is not to be trampled upon. The will of God is to be loved and fondled with the fingers of the mind, of the feelings of the soul, as priceless gifts carried in caravans from far off corners of the universe through the wendings of time and spatial relationships unto the present day. An ancient stream from an ancient source, it flows onward back to that source and will recycle, always carrying the burden of the bowers of cosmic grace, laden with fragrant flowers from space. Our every thought to raise the word, our every thought, O living sword, God is nigh. Heed Him then. God is nigh. He will defend again and again and again the power of victory. The will. The will is a mother. The will is a mother to the son of activity. And when activity is guided by the will of the Holy Mother, then the banner of the Mother of the world unfolds and heralds brotherhood everywhere. But it is a brotherhood of illumination, not a brotherhood of darkness or of self-aggrandizement. It is a brotherhood of givingness, and the abundant life is shared by all. None then are without sustenance. None are without the potential of growth. None are without the grace of our octaves of light. For the soul can soar And man can rise out of the socket of his density into those radiant patterns that, like sweet fragrance or glorious music, rise to a crescendo and a pattern of beauty so infinite and rare as to challenge all the concepts of unreality that from time to time are spawned in the dens of darkness and carried into the world on the vibratory patterns of human discord and jangle. We come then today to reinforce the mighty currents of the Spirit in the world order. We come bearing with us the power of the mighty angels of God to radiate and to consecrate and to heal the discord and the ill-fitting mantrams of human selfishness echoed in the empty corridors of the mind that in a spirit of loneliness and frustration cry out for assistance in the night, and none seems to answer. For the call has been based upon human vanity and deceit rather than human consecration to the divine ideals of the Spirit. And the fragrance is so sweet that all who hear it will immediately recognize it and say, O God, this is thy day, O Lord, when thy light shall be spread abroad as a mighty sea of illumination over the whole earth. And here, as we manifest this great, mighty ocean of cosmic truth, we see the foam and the spume and the spray and the refreshment of new opportunities born each day, conveyed then to every little one, everyone who hopes, everyone who cares, everyone who understands the magnificence of cosmic fiery passions for light and love. For love itself must learn to love. And when you understand that, you can take some of the first toddling steps upon the pathway. You can begin to unfold the patterns of infinite destiny within your life plan. You can begin to live and to consecrate yourself in that givingness that is always the common wheel of heaven, taking not only into account the mankind, the humanity of this earth, but taking also into account all humanity and the spiritual treasure troves that are manifesting upon every star system in the vast spiral nebulae of space. For space will be hallowed by the sacred fragrance of His presence. Everywhere God is, and wherever He is, and where He manifests, the power of His love flows forth, a suffusion, an infusion, a transfusion, creating anew in the consciousness of men a realization that the Lord is alive forevermore, that in Him they live, in Him they move, in Him they have beingness. And without that awareness, without that understanding, they live in darkness and gnashing of teeth and wailing and the unsettlements of confusion. Now we come then to consecrate anew here in the world order a spiritual round table as of old. But we summon the best knights and ladies in the land. We summon the best knights and ladies and demand consecration to His will and the common weal. And we hold up the weapons of our spiritual warfare and say to all, be wise as serpents and harmless as doves, generating the radiance of the cosmic fire in your mind and being without fear. For the perfect love of that cosmic fire will transform the very world domain into a place where Christ can come. And of a truth, to all generations, when the second coming of Messiah is to be accomplished, it will be because the hearts of men have readied themselves to receive him, and the holy grail of purity of purpose and purity of ideals, the holy grail that holds the cherished power of our Savior's life, will be to put an end to strife, to gossip, to deceit, to defeat, to unholy alliances, and to determine that for all time, for the merry domain of the old world made new, we shall seal mankind in the heart of God as we once again seek to build a Camelot where the light, the wondrous light of God, can be esteemed as the light that never fails to give its beams to the lonely hearts, uniting all hearts then in a common grail of infinite activity and transforming the world into a place where the full domesticity of cosmic reality can become apparent to all as they understand the meaning of the use of the sacred fire, of the creative will, of the creative essence, of the creative law, the law of infinite love, sealed in the heart of the divine will and guarded by the divine mother as she seeks to bring forth the cosmic man-child, and the fires of regeneration become the vehicle through which she serves. Eat ye the, I serve. Will you join me in that service and keep your pledge? I thank you.
Jungfrau, Seele, Jungfrau,
In these hours when the earth is being simultaneously bathed with the fires of transmutation and the banked fires of returning karma, it is essential that humanity call out for both understanding and comfort from the eternal Spirit of the Holy Comforter. For humanity today often do not recognize their own spiritual needs because they are so used to their own vibratory frequency. They seldom recognize when undesirable situations and force fields are building up around them. May I then remind you of the need for continual watching and praying, for continual action that is invocative of divine grace. It is not enough that divine grace is everywhere around you, that it is available to you. It is also so sweetly essential that you shall understand how to obtain it, that you shall realize that grace does not always flow in large packages, but comes so frequently in tiny increments. When the increments of a moment then are neglected, it may seem to you as if little is lost because the quantity is little. But if you will view this as one should view the storing up of treasures in heaven, you will realize that the supreme salvation of a moment is also the salvation of forever. For our love for you is very great, and our love for all humanity reaches out into the world and desires in its own right to comfort humanity in all their multitudinous afflictions. For humanity are sorely afflicted today by the return and creation of karma. Some seem to feel that because karma is held back and does not manifest immediately, that it does not exist. But beloved hearts of light, let me say to you that both good and bad karma, so-called, do exist, and often they are simultaneously held back. For men's good karma does not always return immediately, nor does the bad karma come back for redemption at once. Let no one then think, because of these conditions, that there is not an immediate registry of every thought and feeling that is using your being in the records of Akasha, that these will not return to you sooner or later for redemption and for blessing. For karma is neither good nor bad. It is always the return of your energy, and the manner in which it is so qualified determines the manner of its return. Will you then take heart with me today as I tell you that renewed endeavors on behalf of the hierarchy are taking place, that we are constantly searching out how we may assist the mighty angels of God to render justice to humanity and to produce the miracle of his love and judgment. For whom he loves, he chastens. And the Lord scourges every son that he receives, that in the scourging the son may be purged of unwanted and undesirable qualities, until, whitened at last by the maturities of life, he may stand as the beloved son unto the Father, and hear those wondrous words, Thou art my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. You may have the choice of every man, to either take advantage of the flowing love tide at its crest and accept the power and pressure of our love to assist you in the correction of every outer condition, or you may choose to ignore our mandates and the mandates of the eternal Father, and as the prodigal of old, continue in the delusions of the senses. The choice is always yours, and thus you have the mandate of freedom within yourself. But it only becomes a real mandate of freedom when it is turned to serve the light. I do not consider a choice that is made to serve the world to be a choice for freedom. And I want to register this with you today, that you may know that in the simplest way, your hearts may be made pliable and yielding to the pressures of the light as the light descends and envelops you, that you may feel the tenderness of God and his concern and care for you and for all humanity. The redundance of nature speaks to you daily as you behold in the blueness of the sky, in the fair greenness of the grass, in the movement of the surf, the ebb and flow of tide, as you see the changing pitches of nature moving from hot to cold, and as you continually spiritually within look up to God for revivification, for the manifestation of the divine nature and the appearance of the living God within the cells of your being, the quickening flame, the effulgence of the love that is in the radiance of the All-Father. Wait ye for these gifts. Externalize them by claiming them. Reach out and touch the fruit of heaven. It is within your grasp if you will take it. And so, this day as I come to Santa Barbara, the one now deposed by humanity, no, the city of the thousands that we hope will one day be host to the thousands that rush in to the temple of light to establish you. And as you serve, and as you love, and as you move, let the fragrance of the roses I carry this day penetrate the mortar, the wood, the metal, the atmosphere of your temple. For as I come, I grace it with my presence. I ask the response of nature. I ask the eternal glow ray in the name of the living God to establish a fountain of universal light essence now upon this property, and let there precede the physical manifestation of the fountains of water by a fountain of flame, triune, tripartite, pink, blue, and gold, radiant enfoldment of our love and concern for the children of men because they are the children of God. And our garments, as they touch Santa Barbara, reach out also into the world. And we say to all humanity, make straight paths for your feet, that the way ye walk may be the way he walked, Godward, sunward, into the light and the fulfillment of the cosmic fiat for the redemption of this age. For unless this age awaken and be quickened by light, it will fall into insignificance and fall tortuously downward into degradation and senselessness. Let us convey then to it, by a sense of mission, the holy effort made in the name of my Son, made in the name of every ascended being. Let us convey light, and let light expand, and let light take command, and thus the oneness of God will manifest in the oneness of man. We welcome the pilgrims to Darjeeling, for the fountain of the Mother of the world is revealed. The supplicant hands of the children of all nations reaches out, and the cry for spiritual hunger must be assuaged. We are ready to build the great domicile of humanity within the heart of God. We are ready. The Mother of the world unfurls her banner, and it is grasped by the champion knights. For valor is not dead, and nobility lives still in the hearts of many who will rally to the cause and reveal then, ultimately, the portrait of the new age, fashioned first in the heart and mind. It will come forth with such dazzling light as to blind the beholders, like those who gazed upon the empty tomb and saw the rapturous vision of the living Christ. So will humanity, when the spirit of the universal resurrection comes into living embodiment in the hearts of the many, respond and understand how that the banners of darkness have been trampled upon, and all of the opaquing paints of deceit that have covered those banners and caused them to appear as banners of light shall finally be seen for what it is, and the Mother of the world shall stand, the great fountain of all hearts, revealed at last, calling together the children of the planet and saying to all, bind up the wounds of mortal hurt. And even the wounds occurred in the heat of battle, for the Lord does bring forth the balm of comfort, and the radiance of his appearing is a fire upon the hills, whose light can be seen even in the uttermost part of the earth. I am Moria of the first ray, and I call to men of wisdom and vision to come to my camp and abide, to pitch your tents beneath the shadow of our holy mountain, and to see that the will of God is the great crystal stream flowing out to all nations and bidding all nations come and drink forever of the pure stream of reality. And as I speak to you today, there is a rising of many angelic voices coming from the naves of our great spiritual cathedral. And the hymns that they sing are the songs to the Mother of the world. The highest spiritual drama is unfolding in the gathering together of men and women to the camp of the Lord, that we may send out runners throughout the earth, whose fiery torches lit from the fountain of flame that signifies the will of God will bear to all nations the message of the hour, to beat the sword into plowshare, to beat the spears into pruning hooks, to transform the earth by unmasking the denizens of darkness, the rulers of deceit who have kept humanity so long in bondage and created these false hates against one another, which have not produced the miracle of cleansing of hearts, but have kept men in a steadfast karmic bondage. Circle come full circle, circle come full circle, circle come full circle, until 3 times 3, and in the almost unalterable pattern of destiny, men have created and reaped the fruit of endless wars and dissensions, of strivings and darkness. Now, as the banner of the Mother of the world is revealed, the man-child's son stands forth upon his white horse, waiting to ride forth and to do battle with the darkness that has opaqued the light and prevented it shining into the conscious mind and being of the multitudes of people, and the little children who in their innocence and sweetness hold up their hands toward God and unashamedly to the Mother of the world and say, "Give us to drink of thy fountain." But with the coming of age and the corrupting factors of life, these self-same ones repudiate all that they had seen of old in childhood and in innocence, and they say, "It is not. God is not," they say. They say, "Light is not." And they revel in the darkness and the chaos and the confusion and the tragedy of their lives until the little end is at last finished. Now we say, as we summon to Darjeeling, let the children of light rally to our banner. For Darjeeling is more than a place. It is the consonance with the will of God that delivers men from the lesser attitudes and modes of human thought and feeling. It is the sustaining elements of destiny that will transform lives. It is the miracle from the hills that elevates the valleys, that causes the trembling in the cup of life, that disgorges all the scum and the offscouring of life and reveals the refining gold of the Spirit, that men may capture in their minds those radiant and shining moments they had with God before they knew the present unfortunate, stony heart, which now seeks to dominate their world and cause them to refuse the call from the Mother of the world. Yet, as the dawn breaks, as the solemn moment of reality comes, as the hour of summoning approaches, men know in their hearts that immortal and infinite destiny beckons. They understand and they answer the call. For of old they danced in the living sheaths of flame before him, and they understood the meaning of the music of the spheres. The radiant fire mist dropped before their gaze, and they said, "O God, let me raise it be, step by step, up the golden stairway of reality, until I can nestle my head against the great throbbing of thy heart. So let my destiny appear as an onward flaming torch, calling me, calling me, calling me, ever beckoning onward, onward, onward through the maze and through the darkness and the fears and the numbness of uncertainty and the shedding of fruitless tears, until at last the mighty gates did open, and as men passed, their souls did at last see and feel the flashing forth of reality. Thy heel shall bruise the serpent's head, and men shall find instead a new reality upon a cross, where raised it is a golden serpent, fiery, appearing, living, flaming concept of the Word, the Logos, gods have heard, echoing from the farthest realms of eternity's vastness to unfold in the lastness of man's mortal holdings out against the Lord. The final sundering cord will be shattered then by power through the Word, the living Word that like a sword does sever, and will encourage in the mind of man the neverness of stain and sin and pallid movement, until at last men see the concepts of the free in that banner of the Mother of the world. Stain not ever, for it is the sacred flame banner of hope that unites the hearts of all people and enables men to understand the nearness of goal fitting, that enables them to feel the power of the Lord of the first ray, to know that each day we will seal thy life with a couplet of gold to the golden rule, all-enfolding tool of cosmic emissaries who understand the man-child within their heart, the need to let the Christ rule not just a part, but all of mortal destiny, all of man's wholeness, until the miracle, the produced miracle of consecrated lives and minds and beings is at last the power that frees the world from all the chains of historical nonsense and produces the miracle fulfillment of the word, for every eye shall see him, his voice shall be heard. Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the age. Peace be with you from the Lord of the first ray, from the Lord Mahachohan, from the Brotherhood of Goodwill at Darjeeling. Beautiful souls in whom the completeness of God expresses, know the perfection of God and know the loosing of the bonds of carnality. enter into your freedom and a release from all that has bound you by the power of the sacred fire, which tries every man's work of what sort it is. Understand clearly then that the plan of life in the trial by fire is the cleansing of the auric pattern, the freeing of the individual life from the dregs of human creation, and the establishment in its place of Christ's victory. This victory that overcomes the world, that conquers the last enemy, which is death, is already a part of the vibratory action of your lives. Will you understand this? For it does create a sense of confidence, of hope, that stills the mind from the restlessness of deceit and of the outer person, and enables the deity to firmly flow his wisdom patterns into the force field of your entire nature, thus producing the miracle love of the ascended Master's consciousness which overcomes the world. The I am, the God presence of each and every one of you, is the bringer and bearer of victory into your lives. And the proximity of the God presence to yourselves must ever be a part of your consciousness if you would enjoy the fruits of the Spirit, the love, the joy, and the peace of that Spirit, to create a new life, to renew your consciousness, and to share in the cosmic plan for the emancipation of all men. The world today lies in carnal bondage, and the many religious endeavors which have been given so much cosmic energy in the past, in the hope that they would provide a pathway of freedom to humanity, today are like ruined houses, broken down and containing no longer the former glory of the great temple that once drew forth the energy of God, the power of the Holy Spirit, the radiation of His love, and the creation in the consciousness of humanity of a sense of joint heirship with the Christ. Will you then, recognizing that these things are produced in the world because humanity has permitted their minds and beings to dwell upon shadow, shame, and darkness, see the need to reverse the tide in your own affairs and in the affairs of humanity, that we may indeed now take advantage of the years that are before us to produce by Christ's miracle love that progress in the world for which humanity hungers. For the hungers in the human soul are very great. And when these are properly exercised, when these hungers are satisfied, then the fulfillment of the cosmic plan will manifest. It is necessary that humanity should hunger. And many of the conditions that disturb the world today are the result of a lack of spiritual nourishment. They are fed out of the swill troughs of life. And because they are unsatisfied, they continue to reach out to eat from the swill troughs, which will never satisfy them at any time. The satisfactions they do receive are only human and carnal. And as soon as they are satisfied, they again require the exercise of contacting the same vibratory quality over and over, thus producing a cycle which we see from our level as a cycle of monotony. We are interested then in enhancing the value of life in all of its aspects. We want to bring humanity to a place of peace, where they will cease to struggle for the things which God already has in store for all mankind. We want to bring mankind to a state of confidence and faith, whereby they will step forth each day, knowing that that day can be a high road to adventure and freedom for their life stream. We desire to enhance the quality of life, to produce the miracle love of Christ-conscious healing in the individual's force field. For when there is a release of the great power of freedom into the atmosphere around and through the individual, it is a contagious gift that can also catch others up in the great updrafts of the Holy Spirit as He seeks by His love to bring mankind into a higher state, the state of the ascended consciousness, as the predecessor of the total ascension. Have you ever thought then, beloved ones, how the consciousness itself precedes through the veil and is the anchor which enables mankind to climb up higher? Realize then that as your thoughts go before into attunement with God, so your energies go. And when enough of your energies have passed beyond the veil, the ascension is an automated function and can no longer be denied to any who will follow the pathway of their thoughts, of their feelings, of their hearts. We who are so concerned with the healing of mankind recognize full well that the greatest healing is the healing of the soul. For when the soul is well, when the soul prospers internally in its awareness of God, outer conditions are more easily brought under control. And if men must occasionally function with a thorn in the flesh, which I myself also experienced as Paul, then they will understand that the power to shake loose the outer conditions and give them their total freedom is always within their grasp, even when they are playing out the role, the dramatic role of an individual life experience. Know then that the Lord God of hosts is within you, that He is within your mind, within your body, within your soul, that you are composed of the substance of His energy, of His love, of His wisdom, and of His power. And nothing need be impossible unto you as you grasp in the total force field of your being the meaning of the word and proceed to put it into practice. For through practice you will become perfect. The practice of the presence of God, the acceptance of His love, the confidence that He will see you through, that darkness itself cannot triumph, for the light is the brilliant flame of pure white that consists of all of the energies of the Christ consciousness functioning in all of the avatars throughout the universe. The universal Christ is the victor over all outer conditions, as He manifested in beloved Jesus and in others who have followed on the road to victory. So He can and does manifest in you as you accept Him and His love. you will find a pathway rising before you. Progress will be internal as well as external. And the perfect love that God is will cast out the fear even of torment. For the healing of your souls is the greatest gift that you can possess. It is the gift of God that makes you truly free. As it is His will you make it your own? As you make it your own, you provide a pathway for the current to flow. For man is changed from glory unto glory, even as by the Spirit of the Lord. The Lord is that Spirit, and where His Spirit is, there is liberty. Will you accept this liberty? The liberty that God gives to all who will drink of the water of life freely? Will you accept it? Will you bask in the sunshine of His love? Will you let your hearts no longer be troubled and concerned by outer things, knowing that where the heart is, there the treasure is also?